The European project Fit for Food 2030 created local platforms for interaction of different stakeholders. The Fit for Food 2030 City Labs bring together policymakers, researchers, educators, and citizens from all walks of life to work on their vision of Food 2030 and consider concrete actions on how to get there. Today, we will ask more about the City Labs to Rosina Malagrida from the IRSI Caixa and Fit for Food 2030 City Lab Coordinator. Thank you, Rosina, for being here with us today. Could you tell us what is the vision of the City Labs?
What is the vision of the Living Lab? The City Labs of Fit for Food were trying to answer one tricky question, not easy question to answer, which is how to better contribute to solve problems when we realize that a single solution targeting one part of the problem is not solving the problem. Therefore, we have many problems in the food system that are complex and persistent. So the question of the City Labs was, how can we tackle those problems? How can we facilitate exploration spaces where we explore how to improve collaborative efforts to solve problems? We found out that these exploration spaces for innovation transitions, for contributing to innovation transitions, have to fulfill four characteristics. They need to facilitate what we call systemic thinking, right? So we need to facilitate spaces where the different stakeholders can collectively participate in system thinking processes, meaning that they are together doing like participatory research. They are producing knowledge about the complexity of the system. They are, for example, answering to questions like, why is it so difficult to solve this problem? For example, if we think about promotion of healthy and sustainable diets, why is it so difficult to promote healthy and sustainable diets? And they have to take into account different areas of the system and different phases of the process and different levels and many other factors that constitute the complexity of the system around the challenge we are trying to solve. The second characteristic is what we call the multi-level perspective. We need to take into account how change is happening in the system, what trends there are in place, what showcases do we have, and which breakthroughs are already happening and triggering change in the system. And we need to analyze together with the stakeholder these elements and to analyze as well where change is happening and what are the conditions that are triggering this change. The third characteristic is RRI. I already mentioned breakthroughs, and some of the breakthroughs are promoted through research and innovation. So here we need to make sure that one of the characteristics that happen in these spaces of collaborative deliberation is the reflection around research and innovation. And not only about the needs of research and innovation, which are critical, and the needs at the different levels, at local level, at national level, and at international level, but we also need to explore how to change the research and innovation system, how to change the way we do research and innovation to make sure that it better contributes to impact the system that we want to change. And finally, theory of change. We need to make sure we have the appropriate elements and we facilitate at all moments that all the participants in these processes have the abilities and the conditions to apply changes in their organizations and also contribute to collective and systemic changes. And the question is, how can we combine all these characteristics in spaces of collective deliberation? That's the answer we have been trying to answer from City Labs, and we have been working with a wide variety of the stakeholders from a wide variety of areas of the system, exploring how to improve these participatory processes, bringing all these elements into the workshops to co-create together mix of solutions, which included, but not only, educational models, because mutual learning between these stakeholders is key to transform the way we solve our problems.
And what do you think is the result of the City Labs?
Regarding the results, the City Labs have attained to constitute multi-stakeholder groups, networks, communities of practice, and some of them will continue after the project ends, because there is a huge need for this sort of governance for these complex challenges we are trying to solve. In these new communities of practices, networks, or sometimes we have been working with existing ones where we have brought these sort of changes into the existing ones. So within these collaborative environments, what we have been doing is identifying the needs, the solutions needed, and these are innovation mix, because it's not only educational resources that we need, but we also need, there are needs for research and innovation and other sorts of solutions, like, for example, policies, information spaces, systemic evaluation, and so on. And we have developed also educational models that have managed to facilitate spaces for mutual learning on the complexity of the system in the current situation. So solving this question about why is it so difficult to solve our problem, and then also shared vision, so information about the shared vision of the future, and then identifying all the solutions that need to be put in place to attain this shared vision. Thank you very much.
Know more about the objectives and function of Fit for Food 2030 City Labs by visiting our website fitforfood2030.eu City Labs and Food Labs. Learn more about the Fit for Food 2030 project during our final conference on 24th and 25th November and register to meet the expert session, where you can ask your questions on City Labs directly to Rosina and Marina Pino-Cebrian. Register now on fitforfood2030.eu.